Hi, I'm Tony. This is Tapatya, a 31'8" junk rigged schooner Benford Dory. Join us, and along the way we'll show you how we go about turning her into a cruising sailboat and then head off and explore the world's oceans, seas, lakes, rivers and canals. Well, for a change I'm stood somewhere different, in the Forepeak, as you can tell. So it's the forward end of the boat. We've got two main sections here, and this is what we're going to be working on next. So it's good. I finally finished putting those last bits around the outside of the boat, so now we're on to the inside. Two sections, as I say. First of all, this section here is basically just a collision protection section, so nothing's going to go in here, it's going to be empty. This bulkhead here is a watertight bulkhead, so the idea is that should you hit anything with the bow end, puncture it, then that could fill up with water and it can't flow through into the rest of the boat. So that's the thinking there. I do want to, however, put an inspection hatch in this bulkhead, so I'm not yet sure if it'll be a round one or a rectangular one, but I'm going to put some kind of watertight inspection hatch in there so I can open it up and look in there and check all's well. But that's what we're going to be doing next. The first thing I'm going to do is to work on this section. At the moment it's full of shavings, you probably can't see them but it doesn't matter. Full of shavings and sawdust, and I do need to get the vacuum in there and clean it out. And then basically speaking, there's a few bits need doing. There's some screw holes that need filling and a board joint that needs filling. The board joints inside are all going to have glass tape over them, so they'll be filled, they'll be sanded, and then a 6-inch glass tape run down over that board joint. So that'll just reinforce that. All the bare woodwork needs 2 coats of epoxy on it, and then this section will be painted out. Binker that I buy my epoxy from, they do a 2-component bilge and storage room paint, so that this section here will be completely painted out in that once I've filleted everything and got it clean and ready for that. And then the Forepeak here where I'm stood, everything below the bunk will be painted out with that. Again, first of all, fillets around just between the board joints and the chine log, for example. Make sure it's sealed watertight, and then paint it out with bilge paint. This section I'm stood in now, which goes down to the knee, we don't need to look at that. There's a mast step comes on there because the forward mast comes up here. So I've got to get that mast step in there, and then, I say, paint that bilge area out. And then it's a case of getting the boards on for the bunks. I'll just nip through here. And this bunk here will be filled with a few sections of boards. Some will be lift out sections, some will be fixed sections. There's going to be 2 little shelves coming in, one either side there. So I'm going to get all of that in now. So it's that forward section, it's the mast step, it's this section here with the bunk boards with those shelves. And then when that's done, I say bilge is painted out, finished. When that's done, I can get the foredeck on. And that's where we are now. So it's a real development, because now these 2 sections are going to basically be finished, or at least very close to finished. That forward section will be completely finished. Here we'll make significant progress before we get the foredeck on. So that's what we're doing now, not building bits of frames, but actually starting to finish parts of the boat. Exciting times. All right, So if we have a look at the front section now, Hazel, if I don't know, I stand out of the light, maybe you can see something down there, can you? Does that focus?
There's a hole inside.
Yeah, good. What we're seeing is that down in the bottom I poured various mixes of epoxy to seal that down the bottom, so there's not that little corner where moisture could collect. I've put a bit of glass tape over the board joints there, and another bit over those where I filled those screw holes and put a bit of glass tape down over those screw holes. All of the raw wood I've coated now in 2 coats of epoxy. You may also notice that I cut off that extension of the stem that was sticking up. Still needs a little plane up, but I cut the rest off there. The thinking is that what's going to happen here in this section is just going to stay an empty watertight bulkhead buoyancy crash protection section, as I mentioned earlier. It's going to piece of wood, a decent bit of wood, 16 by 6 Doug fir is going to come through there. Going to fit it into this end and cut a joint in there so it sits in there, that the deck planking will fit to. That will give us a good solid fixing for the mini sort of bow spritty thing that's coming on the front there, that will extend just a little bit out the front with the bow roller on it. So that will give us a good solid fixing for that, and maybe also a cleat for cleating off the chain and for tying up the front of the boat. So there's something really solid to fix that too. Obviously the foremast is coming up here. So where we are now is that I've vacuumed out the front. You saw a bit of that, I think. I have mixed up a bit of epoxy filler. I've been around. What I didn't mention, of course, was that in the front I've put these fillets down either side of the stem, just to stop there being any corners that might attract moisture or for moisture to collect. I've sealed around both sides of this bulkhead, so a little fillet down there where the bulkhead joins the boards, and around the chine log, filled any gaps there, because you don't want any little gaps where moisture might collect. So that's what I've done. And the next thing I'm going to do is go in these 2 sections, do the same there, fill it out, seal any little gaps. If we look, I don't know what you can see, Hazel, from there, but put it down in here, you know, that needs a fillet along there, just so there's no gap there where moisture might collect. So that's the next thing. Then, because that mast comes up there, there's a mast step coming in here. That will be built. I've planed off this little bulkhead there, just get this straight edge out, because these are the bunk boards going in here, so that all runs true through there. That's not the bunk board, that's just a straight piece of wood. When I extend it through to here, this one's a little bit low. I must put a bit on. For some reason, it's about 5 millimeters too low, so I shall glue a bit along the top of that, just to build that up, so the bunk boards sit nicely. So I'll say mast step in there. In this section here, there's going to be a water tank, so I need to think about the fitting of that. But before I do that, I've got a board joint, one there, which I have already put a bit of glass tape down. There's another board joint here, either side, which needs that one, take a little bit of filler and a glass tape down. And some screw holes where I was pulling the boards together there, which I shall also fill and put a bit of glass tape over. In the floor here, you'll see a board joint running across there, which needs the same treatment. Glass tape. Then we'll certainly flow coat the floor and probably some of these sides with epoxy. Then, as I say, water tank coming in here, so I need to think about the fitting for that. It's a big water tank. Must think about that one. And in here, we need some battens running along the sides, obviously with the top of those battens at the level with the top of these, so that our bunk boards can fit onto. And that's what I'm working on now. that mast step, the filling, the ceiling, the glass tape, and those battens for the bunk boards. Something else I've done, I'm going to climb out, we're just cutting out, I'll climb out and I'll show you a bit of that. Yeah, one more thing I've done is that I've been around this shear clamp extension and I've planed it to its final shape now. And you just saw a little bit of that, I think. And for that, I tried it with the hand planes and it wasn't very easy at all. And I was looking at tools and in the end, I took the plunge and I bought myself one of these. Very, very nice Bosch professional battery cordless planers. And I think this is going to lead into a tool tip. I haven't done an official Tony's tool tip for a while. I've mentioned a couple of tools, but this one we're going to have a tool tip because this is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So as I say, a cordless planer, the Bosch professional cordless planer. And the reason why I bought this is that if you can come in there, you can see that folds out of the way and we have a 17mm depth there, which means we can plane up to 17mm rebates. Very, very nice. And as you can imagine, I needed a good depth to get in there, and that has it. Works perfectly. So, these aren't cheap, I'm afraid, but I took the plunge. I had a look around, various offers on Amazon and eBay, and in the end I bought it through Amazon. Bought it without the battery, because I had several of the batteries. This is the 4 amp hour battery, which I recommend. Amazon has those here anyhow at a good price. What can I tell you about this? Depth adjustment on that knob there. Plenty of depth adjustment. Easy to adjust, beautiful. It planes absolutely fantastically. I wasn't sure. It was a chance, a risk, but that's the plane finish. You can see it there. It's smooth. It's easy to use. No cord. I'll say it's got that depth of rebate that is marvellous. Finely adjustable, light, easy to use, fairly short that you can get close to corners at least. Obviously you can't get all the way into corners. But I am very, very impressed. And these Bosch professional cordless tools are very good. I've got the drill, the circular saw and the planer now. Very, very good indeed. It's only got one blade. Only got the single blade. There's the blade there, look, on the revolving drum. Go round, all the way around again. Just the one blade. Which is quite impressive, isn't it? Only the one. It's sharp both edges, as is standard for electric planers. So when that edge is blunt, you can take it out, turn it over. You've got another sharp edge. And it comes with, let me just take the battery out to make this a bit easier. In this little red knob there, pull it out. It comes with a spare blade, also with 2 edges, obviously. So it comes with 1 spare blade. Blades are available when you need more. It's great. The Allen key for taking the blade out is in there as well, so it all comes fully equipped. Lovely. It's a marvellous tool. I'm going to be using it a lot. You've got adapters for vacuum cleaner or for dust extractor, dust bag or whatever on there, which I probably won't use. But yeah, excellent. Bosch don't pay me, which is a shame because I wish they would. I can't recommend this highly enough. It's excellent. There we'll cut. Let me just show you something. This is our balcony, or deck as you may wish to call it. This side has had 2 coats of Altrol. We had a bit of rain last night, So look at that. And over this side, 3 coats of Ultra. Can you see that purling on there? Yeah, the water on the 3 coat bit is just all pearled. On the 2 coats, no purling at all. Very interesting. Douglas fir boards. Worth a try. We'll see how it performs in the long run. Good. Okay. There's a little bit of that come on. Good, so we're in the Forepeak here, as you can tell. I've cut these various battens. I've got 6 links that fit between these stations, between the frames. They fit in there like that, and I'm about to glue them to the hull side. Simply use the sliding bevel to measure the angle, and then set the table saw blade at that angle, which is easy enough to run those angled pieces off then. Had to plane them up a little bit either end to fit to the curve of the hull. So that's all prepared, they're ready to go in. Just about to epoxy those in place now. Lay that down there somewhere. Other than that, done, so there's a bit of glass cloth over that board joint, so everything was filled, board joints glassed over, but fillets round where needed to be. I stuck a little bit on there to bring it up to the level it needed to be, so that's good. So all this, the bed runs through there. Yeah, and the other big exciting thing is that I've ordered the water tanks. I wanted to use a standard water tank. I didn't want to get custom ones made, and I'm afraid I'm not a great welder, so I'm not going to make my own, unlike some of the other builders. So I've gone for plastic water tanks, standard. I'm putting 2 in there, and in the end, so that they fit, I've gone for one 100 litre tank and one 70 litre tank. So it gives me 170 litres. I think Mr. Benford, I think he recommends 240 litres or so in there, but with standard rectangular prismatic tanks, that's all I can fit in there. 170 is plenty for me. In Miss Molly we had 2 10 gallons of 40 litre tanks, 80 litres in total, and the rest in jugs, jerry cans. So here with 170 litres in here, I've got double what we had in Miss Molly. I shall have a couple of jerry jugs as well. That'll be plenty of water. So they'll fit in there. There'll be filled tubes coming up to the deck, so they'll be filled through the deck, and those pipes will run down in these cupboards that I'm shelves that I'm putting in there above the bunk. So it'll be very tidy. So I say, they're ordered, they're on their way. Looking forward to having them. I think I need to get them before I put the final boards on the bunk glued in place, because I need to make sure that I can get the tanks in there. I don't know if I fix boards in and then can't fit the tanks in, it'll be a bit of a disaster. But they should be here in a day or two. And finally, if you like what we do here, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, better still subscribe, or put a tip in the tips jar, or go berserk and have a look on Patreon for us. Thanks.
Tears in the sunset, standing at the sea. Tell me where you're going so decisively. What's your destination? Tell me where you're bound. We can move together where adventures abound. Running free before the breeze. Are there many days such as these?